Hey, how's it going? This is Blue over at youcanblue.com. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my workbench folder over here because we're doing part 2 of the workbench series, and I'm going to show you what's happening. Okay, so I'm going to play from here, so I'll just click play and just give it a second or two just for the light to adapt. Okay, so at the minute we're inside the cage. Okay, now I've made something. Okay, you may notice that first of all the bars are hard, but we can get out. So if I go over here to this one and press E, you'll notice the gate opens. Okay, and I can go through, and if you just give it a second or two, the gate closes, and if I press E again, it won't reopen even if I'm right next to it. Alright, now that's because we're using a couple of things over here. We're using a matinee controller, which is here, see that? We are using obviously our door here, and we're using this, which is a trigger box. Okay, now the easiest part is making the trigger box. Alright, so all you need to do is search your classes, and we're looking for a box trigger. I'll just drag it down to here, and what I've done is I've used the scale 70 by 70 by 200. Okay, because that fits in nicely. And then if I pull it up, just so you can see the little kind of button inside it, and this is the important bit, I don't want any overlap on this side of the door. Okay, I only want them to be able to use this on this side of the door. Now if I go over here to our actual door itself, first of all I'm going to right click, and I am going to find this in my content browser. Now here you will see SM hallway gate sliding. If I double click on it, you will see that it has a collision box. Okay, now it didn't come with a collision box. All I did was go to collision, add box, simplify collision, and then click save, and that was it. And obviously it applied it to all the other gates in our scene. You have any problem with that, just let me know via, the Facebook group or YouTube or Vimeo or whatever the heck you're watching this on. Anyway, let's go back to what we were doing. Now what I need to do over here is I need to create a cinematic. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add a matinee. Okay, there it is. There's our matinee actor, and in the background over here you will see that we have this. Now you don't have to, you can put these anywhere, but I tend to put them near where they're being used, and that way I know what they're for. So there we go, I'll just stick that here and push it out there, and I can even rename it. So I mean, this one's called Door Matinee 1, this could be called Door Matinee 2. But some of you young people don't even know what a matinee is, do you? Dear oh dear oh dear. There we go, Door Matinee 2. Okay, there it is there. Now if I click out, and I'm just going to go over here, you see where this is? And I need to do an event involving my door opening. Now you can have it happen any way you want, but what I've done is I've turned on snap, and I'm just going to extend the length by pulling this little arrow here until I get to around about 3 seconds. I don't want it any longer than that. Door opening should only take about 3 seconds, yeah? Now just here you can see the little black bar which we use to scrub the timeline. If you're used to 3D applications, you're obviously used to timelines. And with the door selected, I'm going to right click, add a new empty group, and this is called Door 2 Group, just so I know what it is. And then inside that I'm going to right click and I'm going to add a new movement track, not an animation track, a movement track. There we go. So now what I need to do is just add a key. Okay, so this is our first key. Now what I can do is I can open my door, but first I'm going to move to the end time. There we go. And just slide the door this way, like that, and then I can add a key. There we go. And now if I go backwards, you'll see our door closes, and if I hit play, it opens. What will the world think of next? Okay, so now I can close this down. There we go, and just do a Control S, and it's saved. Now what I need to do is I need to do a blueprint. Now, I already have a blueprint for this, and if you've ever gone over the internet and looked for blueprints to make doors work, you may have discovered that there's a nasty little bug that you may not know how to get around, which is that if I was to come over here, and I'll just use the play from, there we go, if I was to come over here and hit E, door opens, right? Now, I can have it so that I can press E again and I can close the door, but I didn't really want that. But if you're using a flip-flop and a gate in a blueprint, don't worry, this will all make sense, I promise you soon. What will happen is you'll go through the gate and the gate will shut. Give it a second or two, the gate will shut. There we go. And then you'll be able to hit E again and reopen it. Now, I like the fact that you can't go back through here, okay, because I'm trying to guide and direct the players in certain ways. So I want them to come out of here and like be looking down here and who are they going to shoot next kind of thing, you know. I don't want them able to duck back in. I want them to come out and they've got a few seconds to decide and then go back in again. So, let's look at the blueprint for this one that I've already got, and we shall recreate it as well, okay? And I'll also reduce the delay between the door opening and the door closing. So if I go to blueprints and I'm going to open my level blueprint, hello, let's give it a second, and we can see here is door controller 1, right? So I've got E mapped at the moment, so what I do for that is I go to Windows, edit, and I want to go to my project settings and input, okay, and what I want to do is just try and work out where the heck I've put this, because I've put it somewhere. Is it action mappings? Yeah, it is. Here we go, operate. Now, the operate mapping is mapped to E. And it's very easy to map a key, okay? So, for example, I'll create a new one, and this could be, you know, a torch. So, torch, and I'll change this key to F. So, gamepad or keyboard, go down, and find key F. Alright? And now all I do is close that down, and it means I've got access to the F key for putting that into these. Now, on begin overlap for the actor, in this case the trigger box, okay, and having E pressed, it'll go to the next event, so it'll exit the gate. So you've got to be overlapping the actor, and then you press E. If I'm not overlapping, it'll close the gate, I'll not be able to press E. Alright? So, as long as I'm on the actor, which is the trigger, and I've pressed E, it'll go through and it'll start playing our door matinee. Okay? In this case, door matinee 1. This one will then delay it for 5 seconds and then reverse it. So the door shuts, and after that, we aren't getting back in. Now I'm going to change that to 2 seconds. And I'm going to show you again, quickly, how I'll put it together, okay, just in case you're wondering. So, there's a couple of things I need to do. I need to get this, and what I'm going to do is just right click, make sure context sensitive's on overlap, okay. So we need to look for add on actor begin overlap, there it is there, and then end overlap, add on actor, end overlap, okay. And then up there we want an input of the letter E. So what I could do is easily just copy across that one there, but right click, input. Now you see there's lots and lots of exciting inputs here that we can choose from. Absolutely flipping loads of them actually. We could also just type in the capital letter E and hope that we can find that as well, but it takes a while. There we go, capital E, and then go all the way up here, okay, and kind of look for it that way. There we go, but you'll find it eventually just here under keyboard events. So if you just go down and just find E, okay, and you'll notice there's 2 states for our keyboard. There's pressed and there's released. Now I'm not interested in the released, I'm just interested in pressed. I'm going to make a gate, okay, and it's just going to go here, and if it's pressed, the gate's going to be on, okay. When it's on, this one's going to open the gate, this one's going to close the gate again, so that we don't get a repeat of the function, because we don't want that, yeah. Next, I'm going to get this and select it, and just right click, and I'm going to create just a reference to doormat and A2. Okay, that's going to enable a few other things over here to work. So next, if you go here, just click play, well, type play, hit return. Okay, this will play our sequence, which is good because that's what we want. Drag it out again, this will reverse our sequence. Okay, so I'll just pop that there. And in between those, I just want a delay, maybe just a couple of seconds. Now, there's a couple of delay systems we can have, but I'm just going to go with the flow controller delay. Link them up. 1 and 2. Okay, that's it. And then put a delay amount of maybe 2 seconds in there as well. Okay, and just move this to a slightly tidier place, because I like having my blueprints a bit tidy if I can help it. And I'll change this by selecting it all, pressing C, and typing in door controller 2. Okay, so now I know where things are in my blueprint. And now if I hit compile, as long as there's no errors, which there aren't, I can now go to play, as long as I'm not clipping the wall. Okay, and I'm going to go over here. Okay, so it's not activating when I hit, so we need to find out why. So I'm going to go back into my blueprints and open my level blueprint. Okay, let's have a look at this. So we've got trigger box and there we go, look, just a simple mistake. I didn't connect those two together. So I've compiled and Control S just to save. And I'm going to play from here. Now I hit E and the door opens, but it doesn't have a long enough delay. Look, 2 seconds is not enough for it. So what I'm going to do is come back over here and change delays. Now this one had a duration of 2 and 2, so I'm going to change them to about 4 on both. Okay, that'll give the door enough time to open, briefly wait, and then close, yeah? Control S. Okay, let's go back and just play from here. If I come into this area and just hit E, we'll watch it opens, probably waits about a second or two, and then closes again. Beautiful. We can do it on this side and this side simultaneously, look. Which is pretty funky. And they should both close. There we go. And if I had a sound effect added onto that, that'd be awesome. The problem with sound effects is that some of them cost money, and I'm trying to do things for free at the moment. We might move into stuff that you have to pay a couple of dollars for eventually, but not right now. Okay, so with that working nicely, there was a couple of things that I wanted to do in this level, and one of them was I wanted to connect a couple of pieces together. So one piece I want to connect is from there and from there. Okay, and then another piece I wanted to connect is from here, and it's going to go into probably there. Okay, that way we can put in a few interesting little shapes. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to make sure my snaps are set at 50, and I'm going to grab this one and hold Alt and just go to there and to there and there, and I think there's a hole there. Yep, there is, so I can just go across to there. And I like this, you see, because it gives us this way really to turn our simple little level into a much more kind of exploratory one, you know. I mean, we're not going to get lost anytime soon, but at the same time it's going to add a certain degree of, I don't know, tactic to it, especially if it's a multiplayer map, because our player now, rather than just having to go round and round the outside, is going to have to go through these bits, yeah? So, by the way, I'm well aware that I haven't done the other ones, okay? Don't freak out, we'll do them soon. I mean the doors, obviously. Right, so I'm going to drag this across to there, get rid of this one, just rotate this one 90 degrees, and then bring it into place. And this is obviously a little bit of work, but it's nothing major, it's nothing that's going to cause any problems. And I'm just going to copy this, because if I copy this, remember, it means we won't have that nasty gap. I'm going to get rid of this one, and just bring this over to here, then rotate it. There we go. Okay, and just pop that in. So we have our entranceway here. And like I say, it adds interest to our level, you know. It means that we don't really have so much boring stuff going on. Now, I've got to be very careful here because you see that I can't really put a curve over the top of that one. Just like I can't really put a curve over the top of that one. But what I can do is I could perhaps use a wall like that, and I'm just making sure that everything's kind of in the place where it should be. So I'm just going to bring that down. Now this will create a very sharp wall. There we go. And then I'm going to bring it across, just Control Alt and bring it like that. Just rotate it. And then shut the door again. Okay. So again, remember what I said, this gives us a really sharp wall, but we're going to get around that and do some repairs to it very soon, so don't worry. Now, if I hit this corner here, okay, we can see that this is a sharp wall as well, so that's okay. We'll just bring this straight up. And don't worry, it can look confusing for a while, okay, but that's not a problem. We're just going to get around that by just moving pieces like this. Okay, so not really bothering with curved walls, just going with these straight edges here. And if I come down now, you can see we have this very straight edge going straight in here. Bit of a juxtaposition against this kind of curve here, yeah? Now, that's a big word, isn't it? I love that word. Now, over here, we can put curves in, but I'm going to go with the straights again, so I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees and bring it straight in like so. Because why not do it this way? I like it. So all I'm doing is just holding Alt and doing rotates or moves or whatever. Grab this one. Bring it up to there. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to just spin that around. So 180 degrees. Then just slide into place there. You see how quickly this all comes together. We're just able to build a much more complicated and rather interesting looking level. Just scratch my arm. I had this sudden fear that I wasn't actually recording anything. And the thing is that, I mean, you won't know this, but I had a bit of a dilemma earlier because I used to record tutorials a whole kind of different, well, not tutorials, lessons a whole different kind of way. In that, what I used to do was basically just go for it. It's kind of, I'd make a lesson or a tutorial or whatever you want to call it. And if there were mistakes while I was recording, I would go in and fix them during the recording process. The problem with that is that it's not an ideal way of doing things, because a lot of people will come to the tutorial or lesson or whatever I want to call it, and they'll go, well, why did you make that mistake? And then I can go, well, I wanted to show you guys, you know, how I got around and fixed it. And they'll go, well, that's really cool and all, but couldn't you have just not made the mistake? And then you wouldn't have needed to show us how to fix it, which is a valid thing. And so I'm really trying to avoid making these kind of simple errors that I'm used to make quite a lot and then have to fix in the past. So it's led to a whole different approach for me on making learning sets. So obviously it's taking a little while to do, kind of slightly longer than it would have done usually. I'm rambling a bit, bear with me. But what it means is that, obviously, if things go wrong, and they've gone a bit wrong regarding, you remember what I was saying earlier about the blueprints and how the player could basically operate the door even after they'd gone through it, because of the way that the UE4 handling of blueprints had changed. So I found a solution to that whilst I was recording and explained how to basically make it work. But then I thought, well, I wanted to show the right way to do it first, because then people won't have to obviously watch me dicking about. And yeah, needless to say, that works a lot better. So That's why you're watching this. Now then, what I quite like about this is we're going to have a couple of gates lead in to this one. So I'm going to build an SM hallway gate sliding frame. Just pop it here, and I hit V, just snap it and rotate it, and you're going to notice obviously that it doesn't fit. Incidentally, the reason that the door is too short is actually my fault. Well, duh. But I set the ceiling slightly too low, like 10 units too low. It's not so much that you wouldn't notice, and it adds some nice little bit of claustrophobia to it, to be honest. But that's why there's 2 tiles at the bottom and only 1 tile at the top, and that's 1 tile's width on the top there. So if you want to go and fix yours, please feel free. I may fix mine at some point, but frankly I don't want to. So anyway, that goes there. I am then going to place my, just do a control, did I copy that? I can't remember. I think it's control W to copy something, not control V, control W, which duplicates stuff, see, like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my SM gate hallway sliding, right click, and just replace it. And then I know that my gate's in the right place, you see. Hello. Now, I'm going to move this and this backwards just a little bit. Okay, and I think what I'm going to have to do is actually make some entrance signs. So I'm going to show you how to do that at some point, but not yet. Just hit Control S. There we go. And I am going to find a pillar. Here's one. And just drag it out. There we go. And then just get this into the right position. Now there's a little bit of gap there. I don't want a little bit of a gap ideally. And then I'm going to copy this across. And as you see, there's a little gap there as well. Now, I don't want no gap, so I'm going to take this and this, and my guess is I have to move these across probably 5 units. Yep, I was right. And in exchange I can move this 10 units. Like so. Okay, now I'm going to right click and play from here, just so I can get an idea of how this looks. Bear in mind I haven't built the lighting, so it's going to look a bit grim. Okay, not bad. That's kind of okay. Now, I'm going to have to basically duplicate this. So I'm going to grab this, this, the insidey part here, and this, and I can group it. So I'll just Control G, and then I've got like this single item. And then I can hold Shift Alt and go wee all the way down here like that, and then rotate it, come around a bit, and then Shift and Alt. Well, just Shift this time, and go wee like that until we find the doorway. There it goes. And I'm going to shut this. Just so it's in roughly the right position. And then I can just drag this until I'm happy with where it is. About there should do. Okay, so now we have these 2 exciting new doorways in here. We don't actually have any lighting in here though, so I think what I'm going to do is, yeah, I also did some like freehand doodling in the other level, and I was really unhappy with that. Right, because this is different to the outside area, I'm going to go with this kind of ceiling mounted fluorescent light just here, like that. And underneath this I'm going to do a place actor, and I want a spotlight. And I'm going to change my settings slightly from what I had in the past, because they were a little bit too loose in my opinion. Well, not loose, but it's kind of hard to explain. Basically, I felt that it was a little bit too tight, the actual beam itself, so I'm going to change that. But I need to be able to see it first, so I'll go to Lit. I'm not interested in the intensity. The white's very, very clinical, so I'm certainly not interested in that, so I'm going to just give it a teeny bit of a tint. Remember, I'm colourblind, so Be nice. Now my inner cone angle is going to be 40 and my outer cone angle is going to be 85. Okay, so as you can see, that brings up a lot more light up there. And we're going to get a bit of light overlap, and by a bit I mean quite a lot, but you know what, don't care. So I'm now going to move this way and just move that into this piece here, and then I just want to move that across, so there we go. And then I can duplicate it again, because you know what, why not? So I'll just get this in the right position first. That's kind of important to me. And just holding Alt, move it so that I know it's kind of in the middle over here as well. And then over here. And again, I'm just checking my positioning, making sure it seems kind of central. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect, it's perfectly central. I noticed an interesting thing today. I was kind of walking past some quite classical looking 1920 style architecture, and there were some light pipes going into it from outside. And the main thing I noticed about these pipes was that they weren't either symmetrical or regularly placed at all. But only when you look closely. You don't tend to notice these things, and unless you've got an eye like mine, obviously. And once I did get up close to them, had a good look, I was like, wow. And of course it occurred to me that architects, okay, are the same over. You're going to get architects who really want precision, really want things to look, you know, incredibly exact. But electricians and plumbers want to get home and have their dinner. So they're just going to get the job done. Right, so you can see now we have our two areas here. This one, nice little dark patch there, and this one. Okay, complete with reflective surface and stuff. So that's kind of worked quite nicely. We don't have any light really in the main area. I will fix that, but I'm in no great rush to do so. I would possibly like to make a kind of a start off area or even a second level, and I'm probably going to do it either there or, well, not there because there's not enough room. It'll probably have to be here going down. Now most of the time you're going to be working from a level plan. I have a level plan, alright? However, mine's very changeable because I'm not working for a studio, I'm working for You Can Bleed. And so I can change mine. Originally this part here was here, and these two feed rooms were much closer to the gates. However, on test, they made a lot more sense to do it this way. Now, we don't really have the luxury of being able to go in and test our stuff and then come out. So, I'm just going to open this. So, what we're doing is, you're watching basically as I build it and I explain why I'm building it certain ways. And in exchange, you're not watching me having to go through a faux revision process that you'd normally have to go through, because the game designer has decided that his level, you know, is better with an upstairs coming out of this area or whatever. Okay, so as you can see, our level's building up. It's getting quite big. We've still got quite a bit to go, but you know what, that's part of the fun of it. The whole point is that you should be enjoying yourself and really just, you know, seeing what you can do with it. Now I'm going to leave you with a bit of homework to do. It's not difficult because I've already shown you what to do, and I suggest that you have a quick look. If I open my level blueprint, just drag that across, there we go. So have a quick look at this, okay? Take a screen cap if you want to, or write it down. What I tend to do is I tend to write things down, okay? But you're going to use this to create door controllers for those two over there, and then these two side doors here and here. Alright? And if you can do that before you watch the next episode, that would be super. So, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you found some useful stuff of it. There's nothing wrong with watching short tutorials that show you how to make an opening door or whatever, but you know what? You may as well have fun and do things that we enjoy as well. So, if we get a chance, why shouldn't we make something fun? I'm just going to change this light to movable, by the way. That's why there's an X on it. I'll do it again over here, Shift G, and just change this one. Because what we have is we have basically lights overlapping other lights, and we don't want that. So I'm just changing them to movable, which will lower the quality and make them fully dynamic, which means they rely a lot more on our graphics cards. But it also means that we're not going to get errors, because when we get crossovers we get massive performance hits when the shadows and the lights start to overlap each other. So doing it dynamically means we don't get that kind of massive performance loss. Anyway, I shall see you in the third part of Workbench 1. That's why this is called Workbench 1. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye for now.